Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to the third ever episode of Rock Hard Ball. Once again, I'm Karter Longy. That is Kyle Wells, also known as Weezy, and we're excited to have you all joining us here for episode 3. Today we're going to have a big list of topics here on the docket. We're going to talk about some breaking news here right away in college football. Then we're going to get into some NBA playoffs. We're going to talk a little bit about the PGA Championship. And then we are also going to do a couple of new things this week. One thing we're going to do is we're going to do like a quarterback draft. We're going to look at our top, 10 quarterbacks-ish each, I guess, or I guess maybe top 5, really. We're going to take turns. We're going to draft and basically just who do we want to start a franchise with today, but more on that later. And then we're also going to give you some of our favorite way too early preseason college football bets, things like Heisman odds, total wins, over-unders to make the playoffs, all that good stuff. So, that's kind of what we got on the docket for today. But without further ado, let's just get into it right away. First things first, we're going to talk a little bit about college football. Breaking news, the Power 5 schools in the NCAA have come to an agreement that is going to allow the Power 5 schools to pay their players. It was a $2.8 billion antitrust settle, and it's going to kick into a revenue sharing model, and that's going to help the student athletes directly make money through the college. There's not really a ton of information on it yet. College Football Dogs' own Alex Blackburn did a nice job in an article with it on collegefootballdogs.com. Feel free to go check that out for kind of more of the information that we have right now. I know the one thing that I've kind of seen is I think it's going to be up to $20 million a year, I think is what it is that they can give the athletes.
That's right, yeah.
So, again, we're not exactly how that's all going to shake out. Will certain sports get more? Will certain athletes get more? How is that all going to work? But at the end of the day, it's going to just, again, put more money into our college athletes' pockets. So the amateurism of college sports continues to get further and further away. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? It's kind of hard to say. Weezy, what are your kind of take on that now that we've got NIL in effect? We're going to have this taking place in, I believe, fall of 2025 is when it's going to take effect. What do you think? College football losing the amateurism a little bit, but it gives more.
I think it's the right play. They're making billions every Saturday. My question is how do they disperse it? Because I know there's going to be some Title IX issues, right? Because it's going to have to go through every single program in a school.
Yeah, I think so. Right? I think that's how I understood it, yeah.
Okay, so the question is then, what's the legal amount to give the football team and to the cricket team?
Yeah, exactly. No, that's definitely where we're going to run into some issues because obviously with NIL, it's a little different because that's just playing off of a player's name, image, likeness. So basically, they can build their own brand. So that's a completely different thing. But with this, it's through the university. So that means you got to jump through some more hoops and make sure we're clearing the yellow tape and stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting to see because obviously, how much money does football bring in on an annual basis? Billions of dollars, right? And it's like some of the lower tier sports are losing money on a year-to-year basis. You see programs get cut because they just can't financially sustain them. So now that they have to start paying those players on top of, giving them scholarships and stuff like that, going to be really interesting to see just how each school, how each conference kind of handles that as they go forward. But again, we're not going to kind of discuss that too much today because it's very limited information right now. Obviously, it's a big story that you will definitely want to keep an eye on. And once we have more information, we'll kind of cover it more. But that's kind of what we had break today. So keep an eye on that. Again, Alex Blackburn of College Football Dogs at collegefootballdogs.com wrote an article about it. Feel free to go check that out. He covered a little bit more information in there as well. That's kind of that. But moving forward, we'll get right into the NBA playoffs because that's pretty relevant right now, as you all know. First things first, we'll kind of go over what we missed out on since the last time we joined you guys because obviously we had to take Monday off due to some scheduling conflicts. But we're back now, so we'll get into what happened in some Game 7s and stuff like that first, and then we'll get into what we have coming up. So first thing, we had Minnesota defeating the current reigning champs, the Denver Nuggets, in Game 7 there, and that put that series to bed. The final score ended up being 98-90. Nikola Jokic finished with 34 points, 19 rebounds, 7 assists, and then Karl-Anthony Towns and Jaden McDaniels both finished with 23 for Minnesota, and it's the 5th straight season that the reigning champions have not advanced to the conference finals. Weezy, what was your kind of just general takeaways, stuff like that from Game 7 and that series, as a whole?
Yeah, I was dead wrong. I thought for sure Denver would take that going into Game 7, but I was wrong. Minnesota prevailed. I'm not totally shocked by it, though. To win that game, though, with Ant playing that poorly, I think he shot 6 for 24 or something like that.
Yeah, he was bad.
That was shocking to me. Shows how good Minnesota is. They could easily win the whole thing.
Yeah, because obviously, what I kind of brought up in, I guess, our last episode, which would have been last Thursday, Again, we were both kind of in the same boat. We thought, Denver had that championship DNA. They've been there before. Thought they'd get it done, especially, just you have the best player in the world, right? And I kind of made the argument that, Anthony Edwards was arguably the best wing player in the series, and, he could kind of really take over a game. And like Weezy just mentioned, that didn't happen. Anthony Edwards went 6 for 24, 2 for 10 in that game 7. He did add in 8 boards and 7 assists, so he was contributing in other areas.
And he was great defensively.
Like he always is. But yeah, Anthony Edwards wasn't stellar offensively. He wasn't stellar putting the ball in the bucket. So yeah, wholeheartedly agree that if he's going to be that good, that bad, and the Timberwolves can still pull something out, it's bodes pretty well, I guess, going forward. Kind of looking at some other things here on the Denver side. Jamal Murray put in a good effort on the offensive end as well. He had 35 points, 13 of 27 for shooting, 4 of 12 from the three-point line. So again, tried to kind of help push his team to the win. But outside of Jokic, Jamal Murray, they got no offensive production. Their third leading scorer was Michael Never Swing the Rock Porter Jr. He had 7 points on 1 of 6 from the three-point line and 3 of 12 from field goal range. Really what the series came out down to at the end of the day is Minnesota is like one of the best defensive teams we've seen in how long, right? They've been great in the playoffs.
Yeah, undoubtedly for sure. I'm trying to think back, like what would you say the last great defensive team was?
I don't even know in terms of like who made a deep run. It's an offensive driven league now. We all know that, but defense does show up in the playoffs.
Would you say like the 15 to 18 like Spurs team with Kawhi still?
Probably, yeah. Yeah. That was probably the last true team that probably won games off of their defensive play. I'd probably have to agree with that. As for the Nuggets, obviously they don't repeat. They go down in 7. So before we kind of look ahead, let's look. You're still looking ahead, but looking at a team that's bounced now with the Nuggets. I don't really know what they have for contract situation or anything like that coming up this offseason. But do we just run it back same roster? I feel like you kind of just ran into a matchup that was probably the one team that matched up with you well enough to beat you, right?
Yeah, and I don't think they played well through 7 games to win that. I don't think you touch anything. I still think undoubtedly them and the Celtics are the 2 best teams in the league. You can debate. I don't see a reason to make any changes. Maybe add another role player, but again, I don't think you need to. The role players were great all year. Bad that series happens.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess that was kind of that for that series. Again, Nuggets not quite as controversial as some of the other teams that have gotten bounced so far in the playoffs in terms of looking ahead to what they need to do in the coming offseason. So Timberwolves move on. Nuggets will go home. Nikola Jokic probably not just happy that he didn't win a championship, but he gets to go see his horses earlier, so good for him. Moving on, we had the Pacers and the Knicks. Another one. My oh my, did we swing and miss here? I don't think we've been with you guys since even Game 6 happened, right? Because I
Game 6 was happening while we were recording. I could be wrong.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure last episode we said something about we thought that the series was over. We thought the Knicks were going to just take care of business. Thought like it was kind of a done deal. Then the Pacers won back-to-back games to put them away in 7, and Game 7 wasn't close. 130 to 109 was the final score. Well-rounded performance from the entire Pacers team. DiVincenzo had 39 the loss for the Knicks, but pretty poor performance here from Jalen Brunson at a time when his team needed the most. 17 points on 6 of 17 from the field, 1 of 3 from the three-point line. So it just didn't really show up when they needed the most. As for the Pacers, again, their whole starting lineup went double figures, actually 17 plus, and just got really good showings from everybody. So I guess, I don't know, Weezy, I'll hand it over to you here. What did you kind of take away from this series, Game 7, things like that?
Will the Knicks ever get over the hump?
I don't know.
It's Jalen Brunson, there was talk about him being a top 5 player in the league. You got to show up in those games. The entire Pacers roster did, as you said. You said all 5 starters had 17 plus.
Mm-hmm.
They showed up. That's also tough to beat, though. They came in 2 Game 7 in Madison Square Garden and played an unreal game. Not much you can do there.
Yeah, it's impressive, too, because, the Pacers aren't a playoff experienced team either. They're fairly young as well. They don't really have a lot of guys in the team.
The only one who really does is Siakam, right?
Yeah. Nobody else really there. I don't think he's ever – probably a lot of them probably haven't even won a playoff series until this year. But, yeah, impressive showing there. I don't know. That's just kind of –
Shout out TJ McConnell, too.
What's up?
Shout out TJ McConnell. Love that boy.
Just shout out.
Yeah, just shout out. He played great in Game 7.
Yeah.
That's what he did. I love him for it. He's an awesome player. I love it.
All right, well, that's going to be that for the Knicks this season. Like Weezy said, will they ever get over the hump? It's starting to get to a point where we don't really know. I don't really know what they do for offseason moves. Obviously, you've got some pieces there. Jalen Brunson's still very good. Obviously, he didn't show up in Game 7. But, I mean, that's kind of one of those questions where we get asked this a lot as teams get bounced when they've had a good star player that kind of underperforms either in a series overall or at the end, like in an elimination game. Is he a good enough 1A to win you a championship? I don't know. It's probably a no, honestly, right now for me. I think he's close, and I think a lot of guys are close, but there's a difference between being close and being that guy that's good enough to get your team over the hump. I mean, would you agree?
Yeah, you could also argue, like, do they have a 2 that could win, can help? You know what I mean? Because, like, you look in today's game, no singular 1 has won. Dating back to probably, Dirk in 2013, 2012, whatever year that was.
You could argue maybe Kawhi.
You're probably right.
That was a very good supporting cast. His true 2 wasn't super good.
So the Knicks definitely don't have the supporting cast for it. And I don't think they have a good enough 2. Like, because night and day, like, you look at Jokic, Jamal Murray's is he maybe the best 2 in the league?
Yeah.
Maybe now like Kyrie.
One of, yeah.
So I think they need a better 2. But also, I don't think Jalen Brunson's in that 1A category anyways.
Yeah. So definitely need to kind of work some things around there for them. But the Pacers will move on. So that's that for that series. Moving on into the conference finals now. The first game we had was the Pacers and the Celtics. Celtics, again, have looked like just an absolute buzzsaw all season long. But they definitely had a tester here in this one. Probably should have lost the game.
Definitely should have.
Why don't you foul up 3? I mean, it's an age-old question. That much time left in the game. I don't remember what the exact time was, but it was very, very low. Jalen Brown gets basically not completely uncontested, but I mean, he's just standing there with his hands down. And it's like, I don't know. You got to do something. You either got to foul him before he gets a chance to get that shot off, or you have to put a hand in his face.
I mean, he was clenching his ass.
Yeah. He was digging for gold. It's wild. And then they go to OT and they end up losing. So really a bad look there for the Pacers in game 1. It almost kind of feels like 2018 finals, where it's like Cavs should have won game 1. And it's like after that, it's like now it just feels like there's probably a good chance the series is just immediately dead because it's a game that you could have won in a series where it's going to be really tough to win games. Yeah. So yeah, I don't really know. Again, let's not count the Pacers out yet because we did that last series.
I'm gonna count them out. I'm gonna count them.
Yeah, Celtics have been a different animal.
They'll take a game, but Celtics in 5. I will count them out, and if they win, I'll eat my words live on the show that follows that.
All right, but yeah, Celtics are winning 133-128. Looking at some of the stats here, although Siakam got caught digging there at the end, he had a pretty good game there for the Pacers. 24 points and 12 of 23 from the field. He had 12 boards, 7 assists. Halliburton, another double-double, 25 and 10. And then Miles Turner, a couple good performances in a row. He had 23 tonight not tonight, but in that game, along with 10 boards on 9 of 13 from the field. As for the Celtics, they got good production from their big 3. Jason Tatum had 36 on 12 of 26 from the field. Jaylen Brown, 26 points on 10 of 20 from the field. And then Drew Holiday added 28 points with a 10 for 16 performance from the field as well. So Weezy already kind of gave his thoughts on the series. I'm going to kind of agree with him there. I think the Celtics are going to still clean this one up pretty quick. I just don't really see the Pacers competing long-term. I don't think they match up really well. And again, just kind of experience definitely plays a factor. The Celtics have made a couple deep runs. I mean, Tatum's made how many deep runs at this point in his career? It's like, I mean, it feels like he gets some flack sometimes for not making it, not getting it done, which is like, he hasn't won a championship yet, but he's been to the finals 2 or 3 times, been in the conference final, probably 4 or 5. I don't know what the exact numbers are, but
I think so. Because when was the first time? 2018. That squad.
I think wasn't his rookie year.
Yeah,
they brought in Kyrie.
I think so. I think that's when they.
That's when they lost LeBron.
Has he been to 2 championships? I thought he'd been to 1.
No, the Warriors. Wait.
Who else?
Maybe they haven't. I
think it's just 1. I think it's just that 2021.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I thought that they made the finals that run with Kyrie. They ran into LeBron. So.
Yeah. But no, you're right though. He's been there his entire career. So, and so is Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
So just much more experience on that front.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's gonna be a quick series as well. That's kind of that, I guess. We'll take it as it goes, I guess. Moving on to the other series, though, which should be a better series, I think. It's going to be the Dallas Mavericks and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Obviously, the Timberwolves have been kind of a sweetheart of everybody's this season. Mavericks, though, also have been a long-loved team. A lot of people like Luka. A lot of people think the Mavs are just a fun watch. They got just a dynamic duo in the backcourt. Offensive explosion is possible at any time. So it should be just a super, super fun series. The first game was a good game, close game, 108-105. The Timberwolves took a 4-point lead into the fourth, and the Mavericks end up coming back to win it. They took a 1-point lead in the fourth. The Mavericks come back to win it. But it was a close game all the way through. I think it was either tied or close to it at halftime. Maybe like a 3-point game, something like that. But Mavs, again, got good production from that star backcourt. Luka had 33 on 12 of 26 from the field, 8 assists, 6 boards. Kyrie had 30 points on 12 of 23 from the field, added 5 boards, 4 assists. And they also got double figures from PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford. As for the Timberwolves, kind of a bad game here from Mike Conley, although he's not exactly an offensive maestro by any means. But Anthony Edwards, again, not a super stellar performance, 19 points, 6 of 16 from the field. Did have 11 boards and 8 assists, though. Their leading scorer in this one was actually Jaden McDaniels, who had 24 points on 9 of 15 from the field. Karl Anthony Towns also struggled, shooting the ball 6 of 20 from the field for 16 points. So although Minnesota drops game one, I feel like that almost kind of looks good for them that, some of their top offensive options didn't really have super great games, and they still, almost got out of there with a win. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I think the comments after concerned me. You see where Anthony Edwards said that they were fatigued for sure. I think this is actually a tricky situation because I think people just think Minnesota is probably going to win that series.
I'm not in that boat at all.
I'm starting to think it's opposite. I think they just played their Super Bowl, took down the reigning champs. I think the Mavs are in a perfect spot.
I don't think it's going to be a quick series for either team. I think this one definitely goes the distance. Also could benefit the Mavs. They ended up having a little bit more rest coming into the series, and obviously the fatigue thing that probably plays a part in it. But I mean, I feel like a lot of people, I guess we just kind of said, people like watching him, he's fun, whatever. But at the same time, people probably forget that Luka Doncic had a real argument to win MVP this year, and is by most accounts the second best player in the world right now, behind Jokic, I think. In my opinion, he probably is. I think he's right up there, definitely top 3. I think Giannis is still there too. People kind of forget how good he is when he's out there and healthy. But I mean, Luka is super, super good. He's probably either the best or second best offensive player in the league.
I would say the general public would say he's probably 2.
Yeah. So, the Mavs are the best players in the series, and it's kind of the same thing, except in the Denver series, obviously, it was a big man as the best player. Now it's, each team's best player is probably a guard. So now it's just kind of whether or not, who kind of comes out on top, I guess. Minnesota probably has the better supporting cast. I mean, obviously, Kyrie and Luka are probably 2 of the 3 best in the series, right? I don't know how we rank them. I feel like we probably...
I'd go Luka, Anthony, and probably Kyrie.
Yeah, and then you probably go Cat, and then Gobert, probably. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to...
Probably go Rudy, yeah.
Yeah, so, I don't know. Wolves in general probably have a better cast, but Mavs have more star power, and a lot of time that ends up winning out. So we'll kind of see. Again, I feel like this one has a very, very good chance to go like 6 or 7, and I would probably take the Mavs to win it. And then we'll just kind of keep the predictions rolling, I guess. I'm still going to take Mavs, or I'm going to take Mavs and Celtics into the finals. I'll take the Celtics to win. But again, we'll just keep readjusting as we keep going, because I initially thought that whoever came out of that Timberwolves and Nuggets series would win the whole thing. Now I'm not so sure, because it just looks like the Timberwolves, like you said, I feel like we probably didn't think about that enough. It is a real thing, like the letdown after beating, the reigning champs, right? I mean, I don't know if
for sure.
Yeah, you changed your mind, but
I've said Celtics. I'm almost positive since day one I'm going to keep riding with Celtics, but
yeah,
I agree. I do think Mavs get to the championship.
All right. Let's see. Joel Holman said Ant's got him rest of the way. I don't know. I love Ant, but I just don't think that it's...
He's not been great his last 2 games.
No, he's been a little bit subpar. Ever since we kind of just slobbered on him a little bit, he's kind of just taken a step back.
Everybody slobbered on him.
Yeah.
Every single person in America has.
Yeah. I mean, he was fantastic, right? I mean,
we're calling him the next MJ.
I don't know. I mean, there's some tendencies, but he's not the next MJ quite yet. But obviously, yeah, he's very, very good when he's on top of his game. But I mean, he can't just kind of disappear from shooting the ball for a while like that if they're going to have a chance to win the title, right? I mean, he kind of has to show up every night.
I mean, he has to contribute in some way offensively.
Because especially, like, again, Cat is a good offensive player, but he's not crazy. Joel, same guy, says he's due for a big one after the last two, so we'll see. But yeah, Weezy, I guess, we're kind of not discussing this at all, but we got to hop this in here. Sam Johnson, for those of you who don't know, Weezy's a Tigers fan. Make sure to cover the Tigers' 5-game losing streak, including 3 to the Royals. How do we feel about that? Let's get a quick hitter thought here.
It might be the worst offense I've ever watched in my entire life. They're awful. Javi Baez is the worst. Spencer Torkelson's the worst. That's why we missed Monday, because I went to the game with Sam. Nightmare. Let's forget about it.
All right, that's that.
I'm over baseball. Let's get to football.
No, we're going to start talking a lot more baseball in here. Only if the Tigers are losing. If the Tigers are losing, we'll talk baseball. If the Tigers are winning,
don't pick a man when he's down, right?
Well,
we got a bounce back coming up.
We'll see about that. But with that, next thing we're going to do is going to move into some football. We're going to do some of our best bets. We're going to do a quarterback draft, stuff like that. But before we get into all that, we're going to run a quick commercial from our company here, College Football Dogs. Once again, we are part of the Dogs Media Network. So we will be right back here in Rockford Ball.
On the College Football Dogs website, you'll find a main page that features some of our biggest and newest stories. Our conference pages for content related to your favorite team's conference. Our team store, where we have products that are available all year long, as well as gear available for a limited time only. Our podcast page, where you can see when one of the 12-plus College Football Dogs podcasts is streaming live on social media. Our subscription page, where you can join our Discord. If you're interested in becoming a contributor at College Football Dogs, email us at info@collegefootballdogs.com. If you enjoy any College Football Dogs content, we really do appreciate any donations you can make by visiting the donate page on our website or scanning the QR code here.
College Football Dogs, for the fans.
Alrighty, and we are back. Once again, just out of commercial there, part of College Football Dogs. So again, make sure you check out collegefootballdogs.com. So that we got a lot of great articles and stuff going up there. Weezy and I actually both write as well. I'm not sure. I don't know if you got an article yet out yet.
Not yet.
Okay, but I've had a couple that come out. Weezy's first ones should be coming soon here. But especially during football season, we'll both be pumping out some articles there as well. So make sure you're checking out the website, stuff like that. Keep an eye out. But next thing we're going to get into before we get into football, laughing at a comment here. Colin Kelly asking about Paul Skeens and Louis Dunn. Will that affect the game? I think Paul Skeens is affecting the game for sure. I mean,
I think maybe the both of them.
Quick little hitter on baseball talk. Do you think both of them are? Huh?
I think
What's
so.
Libby doing? What's Libby doing?
It's just
baseball?
a power couple. When was the last power couple in baseball? What?
Verlander and Upton, probably.
Yeah, that shook
are.
the media for a while in the mid 2010s for sure. It's probably the second biggest since, though, right?
Yeah, probably.
When was the last time the Pirates got this much media attention?
Long time for sure.
Big for the game.
Yeah,
Spread the game.
Paul Skeens is also super fucking good. Let's not forget that. He has been ridiculous. Just throwing 100-mile-an-hour bullets. Yeah, very, very good. So thanks, Colin Kelly, for that little shout out to the power duo there. But switching from baseball now to golf, actually, before we get to football, we wanted to hit the PGA Championship really quick. Obviously, a couple big headlines coming out of there. First things first, before we even get into what actually happened at the PGA Championship, let's talk about what happened with one of the best player in the world trying to enter the PGA Championship, Scotty Scheffler. He's been dominating the headlines since the early Friday morning arrest when he was trying to go into the club, and I think there was an accident.
There was a car accident that involved somebody getting killed.
Yeah.
So that whole road was blocked off, but that's where they were told the players were to go into.
Mm-hmm. And then Scotty Scheffler tried to, because it was like he was not very far from the turnoff. Like he was like right there.
No, he was right there.
And he tried to
into the club.
Yeah, and so he just looped around like I don't know how far it was, probably not very, and tried getting in there. And then the cops just freaked out, and they just released the footage today of them like chasing after him after his car, and it looked like he like ran up like slammed his elbow into the window or something.
Yeah, and the cops said that he got dragged, which clearly in the video.
Yeah,
did
no,
not
he
get
did not
dragged.
get dragged.
Also, big too, $80 worth of damages to that cop's legs. So awful news from there. But I want to say, 4 charges?
Yeah,
I know, like, there's like mischief.
I don't
I
know.
could Google that.
Yeah,
I
some
didn't know
some
what that
bullshit.
was.
But
One's
yeah,
a felony though,
yeah, he's facing like up to 10 years in prison.
and they're saying they're not going to.
They're not dropping the charges. It's a wild situation. I can't ever remember like something like this happening. Like obviously there's been some scandalous things that have happened in golf.
Like,
Shout out Tiger.
Tiger.
But this like something like this where it's like I don't think there's not really a scandal, but they're just making it a scandal, and I don't know, it's crazy. I don't really know how that whole thing's gonna shake out. I feel like
He
eventually,
seems to be taking it well.
yeah.
You see him shaking hands with all the cops after 18 that day.
I mean, I feel like
Talking about how he was
eventually
stretching in the jail cell.
it eventually gets dropped, right? Like there's no way this ends up Scotty Scheffler getting charged. I mean,
No, it won't.
maybe like something really minor, but it's like I think you said they just let go of the officer today too, something?
Yeah, I saw something that they brought up. Officer Gillis was the main guy who filed for the arrest.
I didn't know Shane had started into law enforcement.
No, but supposedly they pulled up, and he's had some issues for the past 15 years in law enforcement. So I think they get dropped. I think the video that came out today probably helps his case, but
yeah,
who knows?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, whatever, professional athletes, celebrities aren't above the law, but this wasn't really the law. I mean, it was a crappy situation. Yeah, it was a tough thing overall, but hopefully it'll all get kind of blown over eventually. But yeah, that was kind of that. Now to the actual tournament. Xander Schauffele, congratulations, wins his first ever major championship. He's at the all-time score with a minus 21 performance, 21 under par. The course was just leagues easier than the PGA Championship ever is. The PGA Championship usually seen as like the hardest tournament of the year.
Historically low.
Yeah. 214 under by the field was the combined score of the PGA Championship. Second best combined score by the field ever in the PGA Championship, 40 over in 1995 at Riviera. So really, really just crazy performances from everybody in this one. And a lot of guys just got better as the tournament went on too. Shot lower and lower scores.
Bryson was unreal.
Yeah.
That Sunday.
What did he shoot on Sunday? It was
I forget, but that
60.
his 18th hole was
64 maybe?
unbelievable.
Yeah.
When he hits the tree, kicks into the fairway, hits like a 9-iron, which again, I need to bring it up because it pisses me off just so much. When they're like, oh, how does he hit a 9-iron 220 yards? Because it's not a real 9-iron. He mentions it. It's not. Also at that point, just don't call it a 9-iron. If your 9-iron is really your 7-iron, that really pisses me off. I don't know if it does with you, but that annoys me a lot.
I don't know. I probably don't get quite as upset about it as you do. But looking at I just lost my train of thought. I don't know where I was going with that. But yeah, Scotty Scheffler, or not Scotty Scheffler. Bryson's 18th hole actually reminds me of the other day I was playing at Pioneers, and I did the exact same thing. Hit one off the tree in the fairway, and I grabbed my actually I think one of my pitching wedges up from like 230 and just stuck it.
Right, that's enough from you.
Yeah, so nice to see that Bryson can kind of join the club here of some of the great players of all time, like myself. But yeah, once again, congrats to Xander Schauffele. Scotty Scheffler also, even with the little arrest thing, keeps the streak alive, still finished top 10 in that one. So yeah, good tournament overall from that one. But let's move on to football. First things first, we're going to do a top quarterbacks draft, I guess, to start a franchise with. So we're going to both just kind of take turns. We'll do serpentine. So whoever gets first pick, obviously the next guy will get 2 in a row.
We call it a snake draft.
Snake draft. No, serpentine. But yeah, snake draft. So yeah, we'll go 1 and then 2, 3. Yeah, so forth. But yeah, so what we're gonna do with this is basically it's gonna be who you want to start a franchise with. This is not the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL today. It's not the 10 best guys under 25, anything like that. It's gonna be who you look at over the entire league, rookies included. And if you were going to start a franchise right now, if we redraft the entire NFL and we redid it, who are the top 10 or I guess top 5 really, because we pick 5 quarterbacks that you would want to start your team. So you're going to definitely include something like age. Obviously, you're going to include skill, potential, all that good stuff. and then maybe even include contract a little bit. But we'll see. So first things first, we'll go first overall pick. Weezy, I'll grant it to you. Who are we going to take off the first pick here in the inaugural Rock Hardball franchise quarterback, whatever draft?
All right, Mahomes, you're on the clock. I mean, you have to take Mahomes.
Are you sure? I don't know, man.
Almost positive.
Jared Goff is still on the board, Mr. Lyons.
I love him, but no.
No. Patrick Mahomes, obviously that's the right pick. He's the best quarterback in the league. It's not very close. Really quick here, though, I got a comment I want to bring up because this is personal as well. Parker Anderson comments, what are your thoughts on the recent 999 challenge featuring James Small and Parker Anderson? Well, Parker, I can't comment on your guys' as I did not see what happened in your 999 challenge. But for anybody who follows myself on Twitter, you would know that Weezy and myself, along with one of my roommates, Nathan, participated in the 999 challenge as well. We did it in the Twins and Guardians game. It was a really great time. We had 9 hot dogs, 9 beers, and we killed it. Well, Nathan and I did anyways. Weezy's sitting over there like a dog with his tail between his legs because he knows that he failed the nation. He failed Rock Hardball Nation by not completing the 999 challenge. Nathan and I finished in 7 innings. We each got our 9 dogs, 9 beers down by the end of the 7th, leading into the 8th. And then Weezy, I think, what were your final stats? Like 8 and 8, something like that?
I think 8.5. I don't know. I failed. I failed the people. It was bad. That was a lot harder than I thought. I thought that was going to be an incredibly easy challenge. Boy, did I get humbled.
Yeah, it is
as
not
soon
easy.
as you get to dog 7, you don't want to look at a hot dog ever again.
No, it's the flavor fatigue is very real. We switched up with some condiments. We're switching between I don't think we even had ketchup, but we had ranch.
It was ranch.
We had we had to get something in there to try and switch things up just to, I don't know, get some type of flavor difference in there. But yeah, that's how we got through it. Jason's wondering, Weezy, how was your recovery from the 9-9 challenge? What was your game plan after your miserableness?
Well, we actually took a walk right after.
Yep.
Got some sunlight. I felt good after the walk. It wasn't bad. The next day, yeah, I mean, I'll save the details, but it was not a good next day. But I drank a lot and I ate a lot of hot dogs.
There's people out there
going to be
being
some
troopers.
repercussions for that.
Yeah, I agree that we took a walk after. That helped a lot. Just burn some of those calories off. Also, we did it at home. If we didn't clarify that before, such a great idea. We did the math. If we would have done an MLB game, it would have been like, what was it, $600?
$600 for 3 people.
Yeah, and we did it for, I think it was probably a total of, let's see, I think our hot dogs and our buns were like 13. We probably had a case of beer that was like $15.
Yeah.
So
shout out Sam's Club.
like $65, $70. If you're gonna do the 999 challenge, highly recommend doing it at home. Because also then if you need to go, do your business, much easier to go do it at home than at a ball game. Although you don't get that atmosphere, but highly recommend if you're gonna try it, especially for a first time.
If we would have done that in 85 degrees and sunny,
we would have all puked.
I would have died.
Up. Yeah,
everywhere. That would have been horrific.
Yeah, that would have been tragic. One last comment here on the 999 challenge. Sam Johnson says Weezy can't drink 9 beers in a night, let alone 1 baseball game. Weezy, you got anything to clap back with on that one?
No, it's fair.
All right.
Sam's right.
All right, bold. I feel like I've seen you put down more than 9 before, but
I don't think I have, and I do not condone drinking.
Okay,
let's move on.
All right. Oh yeah, by the way, here at Rocker Ball, we are both 21 plus years of age. So just a little disclaimer, we are not underage drinkers. Thank you. Anyways, back to the quarterback draft.
All right, so I took Mahomes.
Okay, so you took Mahomes, the clear 101. He's the best quarterback in the league. And even his contract as of now looks really good too. So he is like, by all factors, except for like maybe age to a couple guys, is like the 101 just about anywhere. Not even just like skill. Like he is also probably has the best contract of a lot of these guys. But yeah, so Patrick Mahomes 101. That's who he goes with. The 102, I actually thought this one was a little bit harder than I feel like a lot of people might think. Because I feel like there's a pretty clear second best quarterback in the NFL. But I did consider taking somebody else over him based on age and contract. However, I'm going to stick with it, and I'm going to go with Josh Allen as the second overall pick.
I feel like did have a different play there, but it doesn't matter because you get 2 in a row.
Yeah. So Josh Allen is going to be my 102. That's who the second guy off the board I would go with. But moving on to the third pick, as I get 2 in a row here, this is where I'm going to go with. I think there's other guys in the league right now that are better than him, but based on the contract and his age and the potential that he showed here last season, with the next pick, I'm going to go with C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, that was my 2. So I think it's the right play. I mean, he was unbelievable. Who knows what the future holds for him?
Yeah, I mean, he was stellar. I mean, I feel like obviously we talked about it and we said how good he was, but I feel like we almost still didn't talk about enough how good C.J. Stroud was as a rookie. Like he was a very like high tier quarterback. There wasn't really a whole lot about him that could be bad. Joey Guido, I think is how you say last name, who we started a franchise with between Jordan Love and
Shout
C.J.
out the high
Stroud.
school golf team.
All right, and why is it clearly J Love? I'm sure we'll probably get to J Love on this list eventually.
Gonna get to him real quick.
But I'm a Packers fan, and it is a hard thing to take anybody really over Jordan Love because I love him. But just based on the facts, honestly, with those two, it probably kind of comes down to contract there. With CJ, he still has more years left on the rookie deal. But I think they're both kind of right neck and neck there, along with a couple other guys. So that's kind of
how many
my
years
thoughts
older
there.
is Love?
Yeah, he's a few years. I don't know, whatever. I think Love's, I want to say 25 now. CJ's 22. Jordan Love.
I would have thought Love was at least 26.
He's 25.
Okay.
So yeah,
25.
he turns 26 in November. But yeah, so that's that. But yeah, my 102 was Josh Allen. The 103 ended up being CJ Stroud. But yeah, I'll turn it over to you, Weezy. Who's the next pick?
All right, next pick, I'm going to take Lamar Jackson.
Interesting. I don't think I would have gone there.
I think you have to just because of how well he's performed in the regular season. Obviously, playoffs are a different story, but I think he's too talented to not take here. That's my reasoning. And then swinging it back, I am going to take Jordan Love. I think you're dead on. Him and CJ Stroud. CJ's definitely got the edge, but Jordan Love looked unreal in year 1, and he's probably the next Packers great for the next 15 years. So that's so fucking awesome.
Yeah. I can't wait to torture the rest of the division and just the NFL in general for the future to come. So one guy that I feel like some people are probably going to definitely think that we've waited on for a while here, that I'm going to take off the board now. He gets a couple strikes for a couple different reasons. He's probably the 3rd best quarterback in the NFL, maybe 4th, depending on who you ask. But he loses a couple points on 2 things. For one, he wasn't drafted super long ago, but he's already a little bit older than probably a lot of people realize. And then 2, he's, I think, the 2nd highest paid quarterback in the NFL right now. He was until Goff signed his contract. I'm going to go Joe Burrow here. Again, I kind of just laid it out there, but he's, in my opinion, the 3rd best quarterback in the NFL. But again, he's 27, but he just got drafted 2020. So it's like, obviously, I think everybody else that we picked so far is either younger, except for like Mahomes and Allen, who are just clearly the best quarterbacks in the league. And so Burrow, I think if he did this probably a year or 2 ago, Burrow would have gone maybe 102. But before then, he had some, whatever injury concerns lately. Didn't perform quite as well as he did in that Super Bowl run, stuff like that. So I feel like Allen's kind of separated a little bit. Like in terms of like tiers of quarterbacks, I almost kind of feel like it's Mahomes by himself, Allen by himself, and then you kind of have like this 3rd tier with like, in terms of like current daily, like for 1 year, it's like then it's kind of like Burrow and like Lamar.
Yeah, and there's probably more bunched in there.
Yeah,
but I would genuinely agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's who I'm going to go with there, and I believe that's the 106 slot. And then my next pick here on the turnaround, I'm going to go with another guy from that same draft class. Very high talent, huge arm. He, you know what? He's got the coach now. We'll see if they can get it done. They don't got the weapons, but we're going to go with Justin Herbert, quarterback from the Los Angeles Chargers here in the 107.
You bastard! I was really hoping he sneaked me. He didn't though. So I got 2 more to close myself out, right?
Yeah.
I have. Yep.
Yeah, you got 2 more than I finish up with 1.
Ooh, I want to get controversial here. All right, with my next pick, screw it, I'm gonna go Trevor Lawrence.
Okay.
I think he's talented. Rough year. I think the hate is bullshit. Let's just say.
100%. That's who I would have won. Safe slot.
Okay.
So.
And then here's where I probably get more controversial. At 10, I am going to be taking Caleb Williams.
Again, I have my list over here. That's who I had next. So I agree with you on both those picks. Trevor Lawrence, like you said, uber talented. He was a generational prospect coming out. It makes sense. He's going to eventually be good. He has been good. Like he's going to continue to be a top 10 quarterback and like borderline top 5 seasons. I'm not going to be shocked at all if Trevor Lawrence ends up winning an MVP, maybe 2 by the end of his career. I mean, he's very good. Caleb Williams, this is obviously, where things can be a little controversial. It's completely a projection. Yeah. But, I mean, people are right. He is the closest thing to Patrick Mahomes that we've seen since Patrick Mahomes, just based on like the way that he plays, his style, everything like that. He's super good. It sucks that the Bears drafted him. It's really unfortunate. But Sam Johnson says Caleb Williams over J Love any day of the week. History tells us no, based on Bears Packers, but we'll see. I think we've actually seen Jordan Love play for a year, so we know that he can perform in the NFL, which is why I think we both agree that he should go quite a bit higher than Caleb Williams in this thing. But you never know. If we did this a year from now, Caleb Williams might be the 102, the 103. We'll see. There's definitely a very good chance he's being ridiculous.
Also, like, this is the best spot of probably rookie Bears quarterback's ever been in. Like, they finally did it right. They got the roster ready for him. I find it hard for him to fail this year. Let's just say that.
I agree. It's probably the best number one. The Bears were probably the best team ever to like have a number 1 pick. Like, borderline. Like, I guess I don't really know for sure on history, but it's like I don't know who else has like been in that good of a situation where it's like, and again, like I'm a Packers fan, you're a Lions fan, we're division rivals, but we're like just being straight up. The Bears like have pieces there all over the place. They just have not had a quarterback, and then obviously like they've have a couple things they got to shore up. Like the offensive line definitely needs to be better, stuff like that.
This is like in 25 years, how are we going to look back at that trade?
Yeah,
Bryce Young for
Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, Roma Dunze.
It was unbelievable.
Well, I guess Roma Dunze was still a Bears pick, but
Bears pick, but unbelievable. They also though went out and got people to help them.
Yeah,
that Keenan Allen pickup was huge. Again, he's old, has not stayed healthy, but if he does stay healthy, that's an unbelievable pickup.
They did him for like a year or 2. Yeah, give a Dunze a chance to kind of find his footing a little bit.
Like that could be the best receiver trio in the league.
Yeah,
depending on how good. I think Rome's probably going to get outcasted a little bit, which would be fair. You got 2 of the better receivers in the league in front of you. It's going to happen, but that trio is unbelievable.
Yeah. So last pick here, I guess we kind of got sidetracked there for a second, but with the 10th pick in this draft, I feel like this is honestly 10 is probably a really good place to cut this because I feel like after 10 there's a bit of a drop off. I think I have some guys listed here that you can make arguments for, but I'm going to go Jalen Hurts. I've been a pretty big non-believer, I guess, overall, especially after the kind of late season meltdown last year. But I don't know. Obviously he's super strong. He's fast, whatever. The decision making though can be questionable sometimes, and just things like that. He's also a little bit older than people realize. He was in college for a long time.
I think 5 years, right?
Yeah. So I don't know. All that kind of plays into it. Obviously, you have a big contract. I didn't look at a ton, but I definitely do feel like though that he's kind of that last guy that kind of gets grouped in with those guys. In terms of guys who I considered for this, that we maybe talk about a little bit. Brock Purdy. People hated him a lot, but he's still on a rookie contract. He's still young. And, whether you like it or not, that San Francisco team has a lot around him, but he still has to go out there and hit his target. He still has to make good decisions. He still has to perform to a certain level that gets these guys to a deep playoff run. So I think that you definitely have to throw him in there as at least a consideration. Kyler Murray is another one where it's like, listen, he didn't play like most of last year. He had some injury problems, but he was still a number 1 overall pick. He's still super talented. He's still fairly young. So I think he's a guy that you could consider in something like this. And then finally, probably the most honestly biggest question mark in this whole thing, but definitely showed flashes. Anthony Richardson from the Colts.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, but we just haven't seen enough to include him, I think.
Yeah, and it's like it's not the same as like Caleb because like we knew like Caleb coming out of college is like everybody knows he's going to be like a top 12, 15 quarterback right away, if not top 10. Anthony Richardson, however, came out very raw. He actually probably looked almost a little bit more polished than I thought a lot of people would think in that first season when he played a couple games. But obviously, yeah, he goes down with an injury. How's he going to bounce back from that, especially from a guy that's super mobile, to have an injury like that? Does he come back the same, stuff like that? But yeah, Sam Johnson says, loved AR-15 shout out. So, but yeah, I think he's definitely got a bright future in front of him. Really liked what I saw from him just, in the little bit that we saw from him last year. So,
yeah, great. I wrote down 10 names for this. 10 for 10. All-time guys
Yeah.
I wrote down are gone,
Oh yeah, my 10 that I had,
which is maybe a little, chalk of us, but
yeah, but I think we definitely like went certain places that maybe we wouldn't have. I mean, again, I thought you took like Lamar, maybe just like a spot or two in front of some other guys that I maybe would have taken.
yeah, and I didn't think your draft was great either. So
All right. All right, let's do this. Well, after this episode's over, we're gonna post our picks. Go vote. Who had the better draft? And let us know. Again, keep in mind age, contracts, things like that. We'll put it up on our Twitter. So go check out at Rock Hard Ball Pod on Twitter. And then we'll get that poll up here as soon as this episode's over, and you guys can vote on it. And then we'll discuss whoever wins is gonna have some bragging rights next episode. But yeah, that's that for the quarterback draft. Hope you guys enjoyed that. We're probably gonna maybe start doing some more stuff like that going forward. Just kind of liven things up here, especially during the summer when it's kind of slow. We don't have really a whole lot of stuff going on. But last thing we're gonna do today before we let you guys go is gonna do some college football way too early bets. So we're gonna go. We've gone through using the FanDuel odds. We're not sponsoring anything, but FanDuel, if you're watching, feel free to sponsor us. We're more than happy to work with you. But we went through, looked at odds for things like win totals, Heisman odds, and odds to make the college football playoffs. So we each wrote down a few bets that we really like, and we're going to kind of just go over those and see which ones we like, which ones we don't like from each other, and then let you guys you guys let us know too. What's some of your favorite bets this season as we head into the college football season? Whose lines do you like? Who are your Heisman favorites? Who do you think is going to make the playoff that maybe people aren't talking about? Let us know in the comments, stuff like that. But without further ado, I guess I should say, let's get into what we have. First things first, I'll go with one of my Heisman picks. Actually, I'm going to do both my Heisman picks at once because I think they kind of go hand in hand with each other. One is a guy who I think is actually going to win the Heisman and has good odds right now. I think Weezy may or may not like him also. We'll see. But first things, I'm going to go Quinn Ewers. Technically, he's the second, whatever odds on betting favorite right now behind Carson Beck. But his odds of plus 900 right now are good. We talked about a little bit in the pre-show. So obviously it's way early preseason, so you never know what's going to happen. Things can change, whatever. But I think that's a really good pick for the Heisman at plus 900 if you can get him now
jump
early.
in here and say that's one of mine. All right,
Yeah.
so we can just talk about it together. Yeah, my first preseason bet, also Quinn Ewers plus 900. I think it's an easy bet to make. I think him at that value. I know Carson Beck leads. I don't know quite what his odds were, but I mean,
I think he's 750.
750. So nobody. I mean, they're all long shots. It's extremely early, but I think you have to take him. Is it crazy to say he's the best returning quarterback?
No, I mean it's pretty clearly him back.
Yeah, and that Texas team is probably going to stay top 3 all year.
Mm-hmm. And I think Ewers just has kind of more attractiveness to him, probably in terms of just how he plays, where he plays, stuff like that. It's like Georgia's whole team is just so stacked all the time. It's like, do we want to give Georgia's quarterback the Heisman? And then also just kind of the way they play. We've got a quick comment for Joel here. It says, with the whole playoff rule and using the conferences, does Notre Dame need to join the ACC? Because obviously now the conference winners are going to get in. I don't think they do.
No, they'll just never get a first round bye.
Yeah. So yeah, Notre Dame will probably just consistently be like that 5th team. If in the seasons that they have good seasons. I don't think there's any reason though that they need to join a conference. Again, unless they want that bye. Or is that written in somewhere though too? Like can Notre Dame, in the instance that they are like the 2nd ranked team in the country, can they still get it?
I'm almost positive it's just conference winners gets the bye.
Okay.
But also, like, I don't think Notre Dame really gives a shit. There's a reason why they've joined a conference. Okay, so let's say they're great and they get the 5th seed. Oh, sweet. Now we get to host a playoff game. Like, the bye is awesome, way better than that, but I don't see it. I don't think they'll ever join a conference.
Yeah. I mean, also like their media deal too.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Also, if they did, I don't think they would join the ACC.
For basketball, that's probably why
They're also Big Ten for other sports.
Yeah.
I think Big Ten would make more sense because we are heading towards the Power 2. I don't think they would join the ACC.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, that's kind of our thoughts there. Jason Haven says Nebraska plus 15,000 to win the Natty. I have no idea if that's their actual odds. Listen, I would love for Nebraska to win the national championship. However, I am definitely not going to advise anybody to take that bet. I don't know. Do you know what the odds are at all, Weezy? for the rest
My
of it?
guess would be every team not in the top 25 is probably plus 10,000. I'm almost positive that's how betting typically works. Or you can Google. I bet
Let's
they're
see.
plus 10,000.
According to BetMGM has them at plus 20,000. So I don't know.
Okay, a little steeper.
Little steep, but yeah, well, I guess we'll see what happens there.
I mean,
that's probably not going to win the title this
That's
year.
just making a donation. So if you want to donate to FanDuel or any other betting company, go ahead.
All right, my next Heisman pick that I also wanted to include as one that's a little bit more of a dark horse for me that I think has an actual real shot to win it and wouldn't hate throwing a couple dollars on it is Jackson Dart. He's plus 1,500. I think Ole Miss is going to be really good this year. I think they're going to make the playoff. And again, he's just kind of one of those guys that's got a lot of, I guess, whatever swagger and like stuff like that to him. Let's not lie. The Heisman is definitely a little bit of a popularity contest to a point. Like it's not always truly the very best football player in college each year. I don't think. I think most of the time they get it right. It's better than the MVP for sure. But I feel like in instances where it gets really close, they're definitely going to go with a guy they like just a little bit more. As Sam Johnson says, Jackson Dart in the powder blues. He's going to look real nice there. Colin Kelly asks, how do we donate to Rock Hard Ball?
Venmo?
I don't know. Venmo us, Colin Kelly. You got our contact info. But yeah, Jackson Dart, I like him. I think that he's going to be good. I also think he could be like a little bit of a dark horse to kind of move up draft boards a little bit too. Because I think he's, again, kind of had that stereotypical whatever Zach Wilson type thing to him where it's like he's probably going to show out with talent in the pre-draft process and teams are all of a sudden be like, ooh, he's really good.
He also has a shit ton of experience.
Yeah.
Like, how old is he now? Do you know? I would guess 21, 22.
Let's see.
If I'm not mistaken, I want to say he played a few games as a true freshman at USC, right?
21. He just turned 21.
Didn't he
10
play as
days
a
ago.
true freshman at USC when he?
I'm not 100% sure.
I think he did. I'm almost positive he has maybe the most experience coming into the season. I could be wrong though.
Yeah. Jason Havens says, on a real note, Ohio State plus 375 for the Natty. Sorry, Weezy, Michigan is not going back to back.
I actually don't hate that bet at all. Ohio State's gonna be really good. It's just a matter of can they finally win that game.
I mean, they're the odds-on favorite, aren't they? They have to be.
I believe Georgia still is.
Are they?
And maybe Texas ahead of them. I think Ohio State might be number 3.
I guess FanDuel, yeah, we're using these odds. I actually got them pulled up here. Georgia's plus 300, Ohio State's plus 440, Texas plus 800, Oregon 850, Alabama 1400, and Ole Miss, I just said 1500. So yeah, those are the leaders for the national title on FanDuel, anyways. And then also another quick comment here before we get on to our other picks. Trevor Zink, you boys order pre-order college football 25 yet. I've pre-ordered other things, but not college football 25, so not yet.
What the hell does that mean?
I just pre-ordered other things. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, man.
No, I haven't. I'll pre-order it when it gets closer.
All right.
I don't need to see that money disappear 2
Yeah.
months in advance.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good point. Let's move forward with other bets. Weezy, since I've kind of said 2, you want to go ahead and what's another bet that you got that you like going into the season?
Yeah, my next bet is going to be Penn State to make the playoff. That is minus 142, which is low, but they have a ridiculously easy schedule, returning a lot. Again, they don't have to play Michigan. The West Coast teams coming in, they only play UCLA and USC. Expanded 12, I like them. I'll probably be wrong, but I like them.
All right, my playoff bet that I'll go with that I kind of like a little bit, going to be Utah plus 280 to make the playoff. I feel like Utah's kind of been one of those teams where a lot of people have been high on them just the last couple of years, but they just haven't been able to put it together with quarterback and personnel, stuff like that.
Is Cam Rising like 48? Is he there?
Yeah.
Again? Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, if he's healthy and playing, I can buy that.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm gonna go Utah again. They're plus money right now, which is pretty good. I feel like in the 12-team playoff. So yeah, that's my favorite playoff bet right now. Evan Suyak says, "How do we feel about 5-star Nico I am Lava?" I think that's how you say it at Tennessee.
Great name.
I don't know. Yeah, killer name.
Pretty sure he looked good in the bowl game. It was a long time ago.
Mhm.
I think I watched it. I think he looked good. I could be wrong.
He's actually 5th in the odds to win the Heisman.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did show out in there.
He's tied with Jalen Milroe and Jackson Dart in odds. So
Huge upgrade from Joe Milton. Evan, I know you know about that.
Do you know how far Joe Milton can throw a ball though?
You see how far he can throw an orange?
Yeah, pretty crazy. Sam Johnson says Drew Aller is so bad though.
Yeah,
Weezy, how do you? Oh, did you already address that?
No, I didn't, but I was going to. That's the one scary thing about taking that bet. Again, they're going to find ways to win games. I think if you lose only 2 games, I think you're almost guaranteed in, right?
Yeah, probably.
Pretty
in the Big Ten or the SEC, yeah.
Yeah. And then a good team can lose 3 and probably sneak in. It's probably the year they finally do it and then just get throttled right away in that first round, which will be awesome.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to our next bets here. Kind of goes right with the comment here. Colin Kelly says Skurs bowl game potential. Well, you're in luck, Colin Kelly, because that is my next favorite bet.
Homer pick.
You might think it's a homer pick, but I really don't. I'm going to go Nebraska over 7.5 wins. We kind of talked about it on our very first episode, I want to say.
Yep.
It's like Nebraska's schedule is so easy this year. When you look at it just as a whole, not even just like the teams that they play, but just the order that they kind of play them and stuff too. Let me pull up the exact schedule here too, so I can see exactly how it shakes out. But they're over under 7.5. Their first, I think it's 7 games. They go UTEP at home. That should be a win. Colorado at home. You never know, but I think that should be a win. Northern Iowa at home should be a win. Illinois at home should be a win. They open up 4 in a row at home. That should be 4-0 off rip. Then they go to Purdue. Purdue's supposed to be really bad this year. That should be a win, 5-0. Rutgers at home, same thing. Rutgers might be somewhat formidable, but again, home game could be riding a high. I think that puts them at 6-0. And then at Indiana, who should be bad, I think they should be 7-0 going into Ohio State. And they probably go to Ohio State and get throttled.
That's what I was going to ask you. Official score prediction for that game.
I mean, we'll see, I guess, how Nebraska ends up looking on the season overall. Because if Raiola ends up being like a legitimately good quarterback and like a upper tier quarterback like in college football, and everything else from that roster kind of carries over, the defense is like a lead again, stuff like that, then maybe they keep it like a two score game ish. I could see like a 31-14-ish type of game. I guess that's technically 3 score, but something like that. Like I could see them kind of hanging around for it. However, if Raiola is not super great, I could still see them winning those first 7 games, even if he's not real good. But then I could see that Ohio State game getting really ugly, like looking like 49-10, if not worse than that.
Like that Michigan game last year?
Like that Michigan game last year, yeah. Very similar. Is that what you were waiting for? Do you want to?
No, I was just curious.
Okay.
I think you're right. I think it could be a 1-score game if they do look good. But I think it also could be a 50-point game.
Yeah, I think it all just really depends on what Nebraska kind of looks like in those first 7 before I could make a real good accurate prediction on that Ohio State game. But back to that, so assuming that they go 7-1, UCLA at home, UCLA is going to be really bad. That should be their 8th win right there. That should put them over the total. They go to USC, that's probably a game they might drop. Wisconsin's had their number, but you never know. Again, if Rella looks good and the team as a whole just continues to, get better under Matt Rule, that could be a very realistic game they could win at home. And then at Iowa, I think will be a really tough game. You can see it going either way. But I think there's no reason that they shouldn't win minimum of 6, if not going 7-0 in that first 7. And then I think they pick up the UCLA game for sure. And then I think there's a pretty good chance they pick up 1 of 2 between Wisconsin and Iowa. Again, I think in the first episode I said that I think they go 8-4, and I think that's right about where they are. I think there's definitely potential for them to go even higher than that, though. I actually think there's a better chance that they go over 8-4 than they go under. So
I could buy it. I mean, we'll have to see. And then for my last bet, I'm actually going to take the rival. I'm going to take Iowa over 7.5. Looking at their roster, they sleep to 3-0. Maybe not sleep. Iowa State's all right, but Iowa at home in that game, like them. Minnesota, I don't think they're going to be any good. What do you think?
No, I don't think they'll be.
No.
I mean, I think they'll probably win 4 or 5 games probably.
So
it seems like that's just kind of what they do.
I think Iowa picks that up. So they're 4-0 already. Go to Ohio State, probably get throttled. Washington comes to them. I don't think we've talked about them. I think Washington is really bad. So that's 5. Michigan State's gonna be bad 6. Northwestern 7. There's 7 right away. I think they start 7-1. And then you're asking me to pick up another game against UCLA or Maryland or Wisconsin or Nebraska. I think Iowa probably wins 10 games.
Yeah, they're both in very similar spots. They're both probably going to start with 6 or 7 wins in the first 7 games of the season, and then their last 5 are a little tougher, but there's no reason they can't pick up 1 or 2 in that last stretch. So yeah, I like both those bets. A couple last comments here before we get going. Luke Sarnarki says Lugs or yay. I'm gonna have to go Lugs. I don't know. What about you, Weez?
I want to pass on that question.
Okay.
Lugs stuff. Lugs.
Then Joel says Pat Mahomes kid, Raiola the starter. I'm assuming you mean Raiola looks like a Patrick Mahomes kid. But yes, he is the assumed starter, if you're wondering. But with that, I think that's going to do it here for our 3rd episode. Hope you guys all enjoyed the talk. Nice to get the comments active tonight. Fun chatting with you guys, stuff like that. Make sure you tune in on Monday. We'll be back again for another episode. Actually, no, we're not. Monday is Memorial Day, so we will not be back Monday for another episode. So unfortunately, we're going to miss 2 Mondays in a row. But then we'll be back next Thursday. I got to include this one, though. So, yeah, do you think the Packers would improve by drafting prime Brent Wells? I don't think they'd ever lose a game again if they had him on the team. Let's be
I don't
real.
think he even has to step on the field.
Yeah.
It's just a locker room guy through and through.
Oh, 100%. Just a real mentor for the young guys.
Yeah. He'll bring the beer.
Speaking of Brent, we got to get him on as a guest appearance one time.
HR liability. Right
if you can maybe get in contact with him, that'd be great. If not, I'll give him a FaceTime. I know he'll answer. So it's Thursday. I'll wait till Friday night. But yeah, we got to get Brent on sometime. He'll be a hell of a time. I think everybody would really enjoy him here at Rock Hard Ball. So yeah. But with that, that's gonna be it. Like I said, next episode, who knows what we're gonna talk about? I'm sure more news will come up. There'll be more NBA playoffs, stuff like that. But yeah, no, we do not take call-ins, unfortunately, not yet. Maybe one day we will, but we'll see. But with that, this is going to be it for Rock Hard Ball. Once again, part of the Dogs Media Network here at College Football Dogs, and we will see you guys next time.